Why is 8 inches per mile squared on the side of a globe? Like, why would they print it on the side of the globe if it was
They don't.
improper? Yeah, they do. I'm actually looking at a picture of one right now.
Show it.
Let's look at my screen and let's see. Let me pull this up. Share screen. Boom. And this here. This is printed on the side of a globe. Curvature of Earth, surface.
Zoom in more?
Sure.
Oh, very nice.
That's very nice, isn't it?
And
The
that's on the
curvature
side
of
of
the surface. Yep. All right.
And that
And
being
there's
on the side
actually
of
a
a globe.
picture of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Interesting.
Why do they just claim that?
A 24,901 mile ball has the convexity of approximately 8 inches per mile squared. Earth.
Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can't taste. Sometimes I cannot feel my face. You'll never see me fall from grace. Something takes a part of me. You and I were meant to be. A cheap bug for me to lay. Something takes a part of me. Feeling like a freak on a leash. Feeling like I have no release.
Thank you for taking away my freedom of speech today in here.
I did not take away your freedom of speech. There's a.
Yes, you did.
I don't want to hear it from you
Just
people
because-
down here. Officers, please remove this man from the room.
This man here was escorted out of a Brevard County Commission's meeting, and he was so because he was presenting evidence that the astronauts of the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion back in 1986 are actually still alive.
I just want to remind everyone that this is for entertainment purposes only.
It was a pretty traumatic day, and those who witnessed it never forgot it. And here's the astronauts who unfortunately lost their lives that day. Now, it might shock you to find out that all of the astronauts who supposedly died that unfortunate day have all been found to still be alive and using the exact same names, or claiming to be the siblings of those individuals.
Challenger astronaut Judith Resnick, and also a Judith Resnick Yale law professor. Michael J. Smith, the pilot of the Challenger astronaut, and also professor at University of Wisconsin, now retired Michael J. Smith. Commander Dick Scobie, who is now president of Cows and Trees.
So the two astronauts you didn't mention are both pictured here, first being Ronald McNair, who is shown next to a photo, a current modern-day photo of who is supposed to be his twin brother, Carl McNair. And the same for this gentleman here, Ellison Onizuka, who is shown next to a current photo of supposedly his twin brother, Claude. Now, apparently no birth records could be found for either of these supposed twin gentlemen. But if that's not enough for you, then check this out. This is the memorial service for the Challenger crew, and this is the family of Ellison Onizuka. And I don't see a twin there, do you? And here's the family of Ronald McNair at that same memorial service. And again, I don't see a twin. Be sure to check out part 2.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We can zoom in on the sun, but for some reason we can't zoom in on the moon and see the flag. Isn't that concerning?
See the 1904 World's Fair like never before. According to the number and size of the buildings, it would have taken 145,000 trees, more than 100,000 tons of staff, more than 25,000 windows, more than 4,000 tons of steel to build the 1,500 buildings on 1,200 acres of swampland, all built in under 2 years. 2 of the buildings were the largest buildings in the world. 5 buildings were over 270,000 square feet. All the buildings accounted for 7.5 million square feet. You could park 83,640 modern cars inside the buildings. There was only 30 cities in the United States that were larger than the daily attendance, and they built all this to use for 6 months. Then destroyed it.
Why do we not have a map? This is the answer. This is the answer. In 1776, the king gave a decree that no one is allowed to publish or patent a map unless it adheres to the globe coordinate systems of longitude and latitude. That's the answer. Okay, so there's a guy that goes by the name of Gleason, Alexander Gleason. He wrote a book. Okay, he's a flat earther, a very extensive book. He sends this book to his friend. He wants to tell him about how the Earth's actually a plane. And he explains in the book, when I made my map, I had to create it with this globe coordinate system of longitude and latitude because it was the only way that I could patent it or publish it, because the king gave a decree that you couldn't do it otherwise. That's the answer. That's why we don't have a map. Because believe it or not, we didn't have billions of dollars with the royal societies and with all the world's governments to map out everything with the globular assumption that then forces it into that Cartesian coordinate system. Because all the sphere does was take angles to Polaris to get latitude, go to around the equator, and then loop it back down. And then 90% of people live in the north. When you travel in the south, there's tons of discrepancies, but we just move on. And one example of some of the discrepancies, and there are many, right, is check this out. So there's something called the Argo fleet, and it's these smart buoys, right? And you can track them. They should be going at the current speed, let's say 1 miles per hour. So to circumnavigate at 60 south latitude should be 15,000 miles or 15,000 hours, which is about 2 years. I'm looking at buoys that have been going 7 years and are only 3/4 circumnavigating. They've only done 3/4 circumnavigation. So if you do the math, the boat has gone 61,000 miles. In the south, just like the world record for the speedboat is way faster in the north than in the south because they think they're going a shorter distance, which means they think they're going a slower speed, but in reality, they're going a greater distance. The same boat, just in the south water, has a significantly lower, world record speed. Okay, and then of course you can keep going. When they started going into the south, assuming that there was a symmetry of a sphere, they constantly got lost. They were off by hundreds of miles. It didn't work. Right? They had to create all kinds of magnetic declination charts that tried to correct for it. Many different sailors, like veteran sailors, saying we're in the south. All of a sudden, it doesn't work. Assuming there's a sphere and that it's symmetrical, doesn't work. Okay, so why do we not have a map? That's why. That's the answer. Because you can't. You're not even allowed to patent one without the assumed coordinate systems of longitude and latitude of a sphere. Right? That's the answer. And if you're actually looking to truly verifying and testing some of these distances, they fall apart. GPS will be wrong on like a 17-mile bike ride. So people can assume it when you're driving and your GPS, quote unquote GPS, is correcting as you go. You think it works.